Two regions down, one region to go. The basketball tournament returns after a brief one-day hiatus. Players get from the Wichita and Illinois regions get well-deserved breaks, but perhaps the biggest day off to Seth Greenberg, and it really wasn't a day off from what I know. He's been traveling all over the country, but he's doing it for the basketball tournament, and he's been behind the mic for it all. Seth, welcome.
Thanks for having me. You guys doing all right? You got your official Seton Hall Pirate shirt on, I see.
I do. I'm always repping the Pirates or Syracuse, recent Syracuse grad as well. But
It's a walking contradiction because those two coaching staffs are having a little issues.
It is. They have been, and it's created some tension. But I just want to start with the TBT and everything, and back with crowds after the bubble last year. I really want to start with how's this fan atmosphere been there? I mean, you can see it on TV. It's great.
We were in Charleston, and it was great. We had heard that. We had West Virginia. When those two teams played, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, about 4,000 or 5,000 people in the Charleston Civic Center. Great ownership, great passion. The Mountaineer was there. The band was there. The current team showed up last night to watch West Virginia play. And that's the great thing about the TBT, especially the alumni teams, is the ownership. It's not it's bigger than just this game and winning a game. It's a family, and it's a great example. Like we had tapes from Coach Huggins and Mike Young talking about his Watford players and Bruce Pearl, and people don't understand coaches in general. You have three different relationships with your players: when you recruit them, when you coach them, and then when they graduate. And it's a lifetime relationship, and that's what it is, and that's what you're seeing with these alumni teams. I spoke to Dana Altman yesterday. Always us, sometimes you, sometimes me. Always us is their theme, but he's had them in training camp for the last 4 days, had dinner with those guys every single night. He said it's been one of the most enjoyable things he's done in the past few years. So it's really good stuff. No different what Brad Underwood told me yesterday in terms of just how important it is to have the guys back on campus and the continuity and the relationships. And I think the TBT brings a lot of things together, and then they add on the teams with a cause like Sideline Cancer, who came back, and Marcus Keene became Marcus Elam once again, and the event is just incredible.
Well, we'll stick with that for a moment because Marcus Keene has been a box office ticket throughout this whole tournament. Why do you think he's able to get going every game like that, and especially at the end?
He's a terrific player. He led the country in scoring. He led the VTB in scoring last year. He's dynamic. He's tough. He's relentless. He's got a short memory. Great players have short memories. They're like good golfers. He gets to the next play. He didn't have a good game. He tried to make too many plays. He overhandled. His decision-making wasn't great. But he willed his team in the end to make a play. Like he made a big turnover to possession before on an outlet pass where all he needed to do is look up, put his eyes on the rim and make a play, or back dribble and change sides. And he basically, Justin Toyo, the Southern Conference Player of the Year 3 consecutive years, forces a turnover. But they got that stop. Great shot by the East Tennessee State alumni team, the Buccaneers. But they got to stop. He got out in transition, and once it left his hands, you knew that Marcus Keene became Marcus Elam once again.
Well, then speaking about the Elam ending, you look over in the Wichita Regional, you've got the Aftershocks just completely winning it at the end every time, and then Omaha Blue Crew with a nice buzzer beater in the Elam ending as well. It's been a special region there, but do you think it'll continue in the quarterfinals when we get more eyes on that?
Yeah, I think it's just that there's going to be more level playing field. They're all going to be the best teams playing against each other with high-level European players, some NBA players, some former NBA players. But more importantly, I say it all the time, no marshmallows need to apply. You can't take plays off. You got to compete. You got to play the game the right way. And a bad shot in an Elam ending, and we saw what happened the other day with Elam Drive, they took 7 consecutive bad shots. They let Florida T&T back in the game. Florida T&T, Chris Warren, boom, jumps up, knocks down that 3. You got to play the game the right way. That's just the way it is. And if you don't take good shots, if you don't take care of the basketball, if you don't compete defensively, and all of a sudden the 10-point lead is now a 4-point lead, you go into the Elam ending and it's just 2 stops. It's not like you're playing against the clock. It's about getting stops and getting good possessions.
Seth, you mentioned Dana Altman in Oregon and how it's kind of built a little bit of an alumni program they're starting there in TBT. Let's say you're a recruit in high school. You're turning on ESPN, you're looking on this channel, and you've got all these alumni representing these programs in this summer basketball tournament. How big of a selling point do you maybe think that is?
I think it's a selling point. It's not a reason the kids are going to make decisions. It's a thing called the NIL. It's a little bit of an issue. It's tradition. It's history. But it's nice to see that you're going to be joining a program that has a great respect for each other, and they want to come back. They want to put that uniform on one more time. That's a big thing. I mean, and you read the questionnaires of the players that they fill out, that's a big thing. Having that shared experience one more time is something special to all the alumni teams. And also, like even some of the teams with the call, some of these teams have been together for a long time. Sideline Cancer, you're talking about Remy Abel, you're talking about Keene, you're talking about Mo Creek. They've been with that organization for 3 years. Autism's Army, which used to be Team Fancy, Griffin Taylor. I mean, he's got Delroy James playing with him. He's played with him forever. Right back to Dykeman, games in the city and Rucker and everywhere else. So the TBT in general is a big family.
Mo Creek
And,
came on.
and that's just the way it is, whether you're an alumni team or whether you're a team with a cause. You see everyone interact. You compete like hell on the court, but there's a great environment, a real healthy family environment.
I'll take it from a bigger perspective. Let's say you're a scout, maybe for an NBA team or an elite overseas league. Are a few big games in TBT enough to get a player a look?
Well, they're getting a look. I mean, first of all, these guys are always getting a look. I mean, if you're a good player overseas, you're playing in the ACB, you're playing in the VTB, you're playing in, the Turkish league. If you're playing, in Germany, Israel, France, Italy, you're always on the radar. I mean, I spoke to 2 or 3 NBA decision makers the other day about a couple of players in the league, and they're watching these games, all right, because who knows who you can find. I mean, Mike James came from the TBT. That's just the way it is. So Malcolm Miller came from the TBT. He's got a championship ring with the Raptors. Played for Armored Athletes. So yeah, I mean that's your job to understand the total talent pool across the board.
Well, it's 2 regions down, as I mentioned, 2 more regions to go. I'll end on this. What teams can we keep an eye on coming up in the next couple of days as these next 2 regions unfold for the 4 other quarterfinal teams?
Most talented team is Bayham's Armor. They got 3 first-round draft choices. They added Tyrese Rice, one of the most dynamic guards in all of Europe. DJ Kennedy, who I call him the LeBron James of the TBT, and Big Daddy DeAndre Kane, and Kiefer Sykes, another shot maker in the back, another ball handler, floor gamer. They're going to be good. Men of Mackey, watch for them. Robbie Hummel coming off that 3-on-3 championship, the 2019 USA Basketball Player of the Year. They've got like 21 feet of post player. AJ Hammonds, Isaac Haas. They're going to be a dangerous team. They got to get good, guard play. I think that'll be something really interesting. Carmen's Crew, Golden Eagles. Where are they going to be? A little bit older. Carmen's Crew missed getting Caleb Wesson. I thought that was a big miss. So that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that team. But both of those teams, championship pedigree. Team Hines to me is the other most talented team in the tournament. Kyle Hines, one of the most decorated players in all of Europe. And he's put together a terrific roster. Nick Lathis, one of the best guards in Europe. And he got Justin Burrell from Overseas Elite, one of the best rebounders in the history of the TBT, a guy you don't have to run a play for and makes plays. So it's going to be great every single night, man. The games are great. I'm fired up, excited to get on that plane tomorrow. I've got 8 more games starting on Saturday. Dan Dockich will be doing games in Columbus. TBT never disappoints, man. Never disappoints. Elam Ending, I'm telling you, the NCAA needs to look at it. It needs to look at it. You're not fouling at the end of the game. It keeps the game in a window. The game ends on a made shot. You're at the edge of your seats. We saw it time after time after time. How many games have you seen that, 3 straight teams that made their way to Dayton to the final 8, all right, all made it through surviving the Elam Ending. Puts so much pressure on the team leading and obviously on the team that's trailing.
We've got the storylines coming up too. Matt Mobley on that Team Hines team against that former St. Bonaventure team. And I agree with you, Men of Mackey, severely underrated 8 seed. Seth Greenberg, thanks for coming on.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.